I don't stick it all the way out to the end.
That's fine.
Don't write nasty things about me.
Okay.
Any more than he already has?
I'm feeling it fade pretty fast.
All right. Let's see, I'll share.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. Pardon? You reports.
Aaron, this is Pete. Oh, you have? Okay, cool. We lost, dude.
I'm confusing yourself.
He just has a youthful look to it.
What's so bad?
It's not bad. I'm a student of life. Yeah, you are.
What do you do, man?
I work at Brentwood Corp in Malala.
It's two words that aren't Hey, Jason.
Companies like having doors in a city.
Good to see you, man. Forever. Yeah, how's it going?
15 minutes out here.
Good, yeah. How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
Can't complain. Fun.
No one's heard of us.
It's kind of like,
Drowning, basically.
Yeah.
Oh my
I've been
God.
trying to follow on Facebook. Because you
I
posted.
tell you how drowning I am.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Lots of
God.
information.
actually kind of a cool little bird.
So I'm supposed to become an expert.
Kind of cool.
Expertise is measured L1 through L4.
Valley town. Cool.
L3 is publishing.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives you a sense of the scale.
Wow.
Stuff out there.
That's intense.
My peer mentor
Airport, like,
became an
one of
L4.
those
So
skydiving
she's
in
like
this area.
world renowned on bicycle.
Skydiving.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, okay, that's a bit to live up to.
Sweet. All right, we've got 2 viewers on our live stream.
Hi,
How do you see who's here?
Yeah.
Viewer, me, voyeur.
It's over central, but then I think it's Sonic commute every day. From Lake Oswego, it's like,
Huh.
like 30, 40 minutes.
So you got to do like that.
I go from Lake Oswego to Brentwood, to Malala, and then back. Reverse.
Yeah,
One,
it
two.
is right there on the wall. Wireless with dollar signs for the essence. Saw something on the internet over the weekend where somewhere, I don't think it was around here, but somewhere, these people somehow or another got a queen bee that got trapped in their van. And it showed, oh, that's awesome. They showed the bees just like swarming this van because they were trying to get to their queen. They wanted to get their queen back. And somehow or another they had to like sort of essentially, open the doors, roll down the windows, get the queen to leave. And when she did, they just swarmed off with her. Pretty amazing.
Sounds like a jackass movie. Right? It does. I threw him for a swarm in my convertible at the top now.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and it's like all of a sudden they're everywhere. I had no idea what was happening. They weren't.
Has anyone ever used Google Hangouts on air?
On what?
On air, like their event version of the app?
On air? I don't know. What
Yeah, so they take Google Hangouts and they wrap like an event publishing, broadcasting app around it, right? I'm just curious if anyone's used it before, because I don't see a way immediately to see like who's on stream, you know? I can see those 4 viewers, but I can't see anyone's names or, you know.
Oh, I see. You're using Hangouts to stream.
Mhm.
I see. That's fine.
Yeah. I just don't even see a way to see a list. I see a count, but I see there's no list. What I was going to ask was someone know how to show the list, but none of the menu options or anything that give you any indication that you can even do that. But maybe that's the point, that you could join a broadcast and have some privacy, you know?
Names
Like,
have changed people's names.
what's that?
Names have been changed.
Right. Exactly. So.
How do I get there?
Well, you wouldn't see what I'm seeing, right? Because I'm the host.
Yeah. How do I get
Oh,
there? Hangouts?
Are you in our? Are you? If you just go to the Meetup page, there's a link. Well, we can.
People are commenting on Slack too.
Oh, okay.
Watch that.
We're like, I can hear.
All right. Okay, I can see your screen. Where's your camera? Can you wave your hand for me? If you want the light on.
Right here.
Leave it on. I said, can you wave your hand for me here? Not yet. Yeah, it might show some. Maybe I haven't started broadcasting yet.
All right, there we are.
Yeah, sorry.
So welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us on this. Well, for those who are here in Portland, this wonderful Tuesday sunny evening, right?
Yeah, it's nice.
It's cool in here, but it's actually hot outside, right?
Really upper 80s, right?
Yeah,
It's warm.
it's warm. So this is our first time live streaming, so apologies if we run into any expected or unexpected technical difficulties. We'll get better at this when we do it next month and the month after that. But give us your feedback, of course. We want to get better at this, and we'll continue to work at it. This is just a first attempt. What other announcements do you have, Jim?
Announcements. I don't.
Oh, so my name is James. I think I know pretty much everyone in the room. I don't recognize you, sir. You're new. He's got new, and I'm not sure if I recognize you. Yeah, okay. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
I'm Ken, by the way, and we've been running this thing for about a little bit over a year, so
Yep.
thanks for that.
Yeah. What announcements do you have for us? Usually start with some general announcements before we...
I don't have any announcements. TypeScript has been going great, so nothing really new to announce with TypeScript. No new version on the horizon, so they're working on 2.0 now. So
What did 1.8 produce?
1.8 was in March.
Oh, so it's been out for a while.
Yeah. So yeah, no new information on TypeScript. Just keep using it. And Visual Studio Code is at 1.1, I believe. Or maybe that's wrong.
1.1?
1.1, yeah.
Or something like that.
It's still at 1.0. Anyway, things are going well though in the Visual Studio Code world. I'm not sure about the other editors, so if you're using Atom or Sublime, there's mileage maker.
Yeah. So that's could be one of our talking points tonight. So we didn't end up with a presentation tonight, which is the first. Normally we have, like a planned presentation, which is pretty typical for meetups, and we do that. But tonight it came as a suggestion to do an open forum. So this is free form tonight. I did post in the Slack general channel for anyone who is in Slack, some suggestions, some like starter questions, if you will. So if no one has anything that they want to.
Mandatory phone check.
You know, use as a starting point. Oh, we got a question in the back row.
It's not a
Angela.
question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It is an announcement though, so I wanted to see.
All right. Do you want to come up and give your announcement?
Can I do it from right here?
Well, you won't be on camera is the thing.
Oh.
You do it right here.
Do you want us to do your hair and makeup first?
Come on up. All right. So Angela's seminary.
Yep.
Has announcement for the group. So Angela, welcome to the stage.
This is going to be an interactive announcement. You're going to be involved.
Uh-oh.
So
All right.
my announcement is we have a meetup down in Salem called Willamette Valley Software Engineers. James has presented there before, outstanding presentation. So good that we invited him back to come back in September. He's going to give a rousing talk on the title.
Something around RxJS and reactive programming, but I'm still trying to package it up so maybe it's a little more friendly than what I originally sent you. So,
Okay. Thanks.
Would that be so you get a better reaction?
yeah, exactly. Cool. Well, thanks for plugging that. Appreciate that.
Thank you for coming.
Is anyone planning on attending Node PDX that's happening this, or I was going to say in this month, but it's not quite June. So some people?
That's
Yeah.
at the end of June, 23rd, 24th?
No, it's like June 18th, 19th, and 20th, right?
Yeah.
Like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday?
I think it's over. At the
Father's Day
Crystal
weekend?
Ball. I believe it's at the Crystal Ball.
Is it?
Yeah. So the organizers locally are Adrian Hall, Troy Howard,
Yep.
a couple of others.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe you guys are involved too.
I'm actually I'm going to present
Okay.
at Node PDX. I'm going to be doing my TypeScript decorators presentation, which I gave here back in February, but it has, I would hope, evolved and improved. Because I've delivered that a couple different times, once in Boise and once in Salt Lake City. And I've used those opportunities to rewrite it and rewrite it again. So I'll be rewriting it again to make it Node's, like I'm going to use Node instead of running the code in the browser. So I'm talking to that audience a little bit more directly, but that's the talk I'm going to be giving at Node PDX. So if I see you all there, say hello. I think it's a small enough group that, you know, we'll bump into each other. So what else?
I have some giveaways. Oh wait, I think I have.
Prizes, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, at the end. So those who stick around will get a prize. You guys leave early, no prizes.
Okay, so let's get started.
Yeah.
So does anyone have before we dive into maybe some suggested topics, and I'm hoping to get your all involvement in that as well, but any specific questions that anyone came here tonight and said, I'm really hoping to talk about Al?
So no, but it's something interesting I've been seeing, and when you brought up the editors again, and we had that fight. One of the things that I'm finding is that a lot of people are talking about TypeScript that are Visual Studio users are tending not to use Visual Studio for TypeScript development. Are you finding that?
Is that a thing? Okay, so
Yeah.
so I'll repeat that in case that wasn't heard over the stream. So the question was, how much are we seeing developers who may use Visual Studio for just about everything else? You know, presumably they're .NET developers of some sort, right? But when they're doing TypeScript or front-end development, they're choosing to not use Visual Studio, and they're using some other editor. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Okay. Ken?
My personal experience is working at a .NET shop on .NET MVC applications with Angular as the front end using TypeScript. We're using Visual Studio proper, but that's my personal preference. It's easy to run the app and debug in Visual Studio right out of the gate, right? So there's really no setup. Visual Studio comes with TypeScript built into it, so you can't beat that where an IDE comes with that technology built into it. going to Visual Studio Code and using or Sublime or any other editor would be something that I might do where I had a backend API that I was hitting that I didn't necessarily need to run the app, right? I could just launch the browser and use Visual Studio Code or any other text editor.
So can I refine my question a little bit? Because you touched on something that's kind of what I'm seeing, like people that are using Visual Studio that I would expect, well, even if I don't need Visual Studio, even if I'm just doing, but I am finding, and I'm not saying across the board, but like a year ago, I don't think this was true. I think the Visual Studio users tended to use Visual Studio, and I'm finding more references, like just in groups like this, when I hear talks, that, oh, I use Visual Studio, but when I'm doing just plain old. And I guess it's a little bit faster, but not enough so to make a difference. So I would think twice about bringing Visual Studio for
So lightweight versus heavyweight, right?
But it seems like it's not huge enough to be,
Yeah.
Back in the old days when you brought up a clutch, you felt it.
Right.
But it's not,
Right.
but I'm just seeming to hear more and more the people that I would consider Visual Studio.
Right. So I'll even take it a step further beyond that. So for those online, the comment that was made was maybe it's strictly just or simply just a difference between that code or Atom or some other editor just is lightweight, is more performant, more responsive than having to start up an instance of Visual Studio proper. That could very well likely be the case.
Sorry, I thought I just killed it.
That's fine. Our destination is on the right for those who. So I'm looking over here, and I always use a window. So I would say, personally for myself, when I'm on my Mac and I don't want to fire up a VM and go into Windows, that's even more heavyweight, right? So it's not just the expense of Visual Studio, but it's like the environment, the platform that goes along with it. Hell yeah, I'm going to start up VS Code or Atom or something else on my Mac and just use that because it's more immediate, right? And chances are I probably already have it running, right? Even on top of that. Would you agree with that? I think that's probably most people's experience too, right?
There's no comparison. The startup time between Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio, they're light years.
That was an interesting thing because I'm seeing a lot of people that are talking about our format and we but I just see it's not so much about not doing Visual Studio.
Yeah. Who here, just out of curiosity, does ASP.NET development today? Oh, so just a couple people. Okay, who here is actually interested in the cross-platform promise or capability of ASP.NET Core? Yeah. Because if you fast forward to later this year, with any luck, the story gets even more interesting, right? Because not only will you not need Visual Studio proper, you could just fire up VS Code and write ASP.NET Core apps in VS Code on a Mac.
Did you say fast forward 1 year?
Well, I don't want to get into that. It's supposed to be releasing in June, but people don't believe it because of things that have happened the last couple of weeks. So I'm not going to get into that. This is a TypeScript.
It's been going a long time. Or was it .NET 5 maybe? What did they call it?
ASP.NET 5, but it became ASP.NET Core.
Yeah, it's long in the tooth.
Yeah.
Get released.
It's done what it's done.
Yeah.
Okay. So editor-wise, who's using code? Adam? Okay, so Peter, that was a very enthusiastic, like Adam over code.
No.
No?
Isn't it? And I went to a presentation about 1.5 years ago when Visual Studio was just coming out.
Yeah.
They're in TypeScript and they were looking for people to alpha and beta, and I just didn't want any part of it.
Yeah.
And since then, it's come out and it's a thing and it supposedly works well. I just haven't converted over.
Yeah.
It's on my to-do list because I've got a lot of code in Atom Mix.
Interesting.
So
Like,
I love Atom when it works, but I would like to get off because the hanging drives me nuts.
What's a lot of code can you give a rough?
I count my code so I know. It's about 5,000 lines of my apps, 3 servers.
Yeah.
It's all on Node.js.
Okay.
A little bit of front end stuff.
Okay.
Mostly Node. But like 88 Node modules that are brought in. If I bring up the debugger, it takes 20 plus, it takes sometimes 2 minutes to load it.
Oh, wow, yeah.
20
Okay.
seconds, 2 minutes.
So it's interesting. I used Atom almost exclusively for doing TypeScript stuff, especially when I was doing presentations, because I didn't want people to get any sort of indication like, oh, you've got to use a Visual Studio product to use the platform of the language, right?
That's part of why I took it.
And so by extension, I learned Atom and felt really comfortable there. And so anytime, and Ken was always like, code, and I would go over there and I felt like I couldn't even figure it, I don't even know how to build a TypeScript file. Like, what the hell, you know? Not that it was hard, but anytime you got to pause and stop and then go learn something and come back, I was like, well, why bother? I can open up Atom. I know exactly what I'm doing, you know?
Yeah,
So I'm with you. I was there, and I forced myself to get over that hump recently. And I gotta admit that there's just enough things that Visual Studio Code does really well that I'm not going to leave it anytime soon for those reasons. But
Well, you got to remember that Visual Studio Code is built on TypeScript. They're dogfooding their own stuff, right? So they're building a tool that they use, and it's using their language to build, right? So it's inception, right? But it's built for the language service, whereas the Atom TypeScript plugin was built for a lesser language service, and it's not migrated or not moved up with the newer service features, right?
Yeah, I also get the feeling that the TypeScript team, I have a lot of respect for them. I think they're all brilliant, but I also think that they're kind of tapped out and they've got lots of projects they're working on. And I think when they have a choice between working on their editor or the Atom plugin, my guess is that they're working on theirs.
well, interestingly enough, the Atom TypeScript plugin, I don't think anyone on Microsoft's side is involved in that at all.
Nope, that's
That's
independent.
right.
Yeah, Bazrat, that's
TypeStrong.
TypeStrong.
Yeah.
Now,
the
the TypeScript team does have a Sublime Text plugin. There's 2 plugins, one that's not supported anymore, and then one that's Microsoft's. But it's lesser than the
Right.
Visual Studio Code implementation. So
Now, WebStorm TypeScript support is pretty spot on. I mean, you add a TypeScript file, it says, oh, this is a TypeScript file. Do you want to add this to your project? And say yes, and it works great.
I'm not sure if they're still using their own language service or if they are using Microsoft's.
I'm pretty sure that they've always used Microsoft's, but
They had their own implementation at some point. I'm not sure.
okay. Well, let me clarify. I think they were hosting the installation of TypeScript, but they weren't writing their own language service, right, to be clear.
Okay.
But you didn't have to go install it separately, I guess.
Right. Yeah, it was included in the package. Yep.
Right.
So just to finish that up, one thing that kills me is I usually build JSON files that are just examples for when I'm bringing a service up, and then when I switch to actual data, it's usually a lot larger, and Atom just dies. Just absolutely hangs if you have a largish JSON file.
Got it.
100K.
Yep.
It's gone.
Sucks.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Visual Studio would be any better at that because it's built on the same technology. It's built on the Electron framework. So.
Yeah, I'm not going to plug in to not let me open JSON files on this data.
Well, okay, I mean, not to argue the point, but the editor code is not the same, right? So
It's not.
hard.
They're still using the same backend services that Atom is. So there could be a
So
potential.
for the stuff about keeping large files, I would sort of be the Electron, but it'd probably be more with the editor code. And one of the things I get the impression, because I flip back and forth of originally playing everything, is that at the beginning they were kind of neck and neck, and I'm talking just editor features.
Right.
And Atom was a little bit better, I thought. But it's like Visual Studio has been very steadily, Visual Studio Code has been very steadily improving. So that now I'm finding, just like I'm opening up a config file or something, I'm kind of tending more and more with a config file as I go with Visual Studio Code. So I can see what you're saying, that it's just starting to feel. I'll tell you one of the things I'm noticing, not on this, but on my work computer. I know that Atom takes noticeably longer, like 3 to 5 seconds longer to start out. It's a blank Atom. And again, I want to say they use the neck.
So
Yeah. So I gotta do
not sure if people can hear online, the people in the back, but the quick summary, 5-second summary there is that Visual Studio Code starts faster than Atom, like perceptibly, noticeably faster, and that Visual Studio Code seems to have, and I'll use eclipsed Atom in terms of feature set. So, right.
Not in terms of extensibility where Atom has that.
Yeah.
You know,
Now you're talking about their extension, like
Yeah.
that could change over time, though, right?
Yeah, definitely. And then imagine as more developers becoming familiar with Visual Studio Code, they're going to want to build extensions for it, and it's an open market.
So we had a question online,
Okay.
or a topic suggestion, and that was to discuss the whole TSD definitely type situation.
I don't want to talk about it.
to typings to
the future.
the future, right? So who knows what I'm referring to, right? So I wasn't aware of until this afternoon when Ken's like catching me up here and you know.
Yeah. So
On Slack, he's slapping me up the side of the head. He goes, dude, this is the new way to do type. And I'm like, new? Like typings is new. And he goes, no, that's like old, man. Like there's a new way.
So definitely type, if you've been in the TypeScript world, you know that definitely type is the place to go to get your type definition files up until January of this year. And then that was
Overnight.
marked as deprecated just magically. And then when you did npm install, you started getting these, definitely type is
I'm talking about
deprecated.
TSD, not definitely type.
Both of them. They're both.
I didn't know definitely type was separate.
Yeah. So definitely typed is out. Typings in January. Typings is in, and as of maybe TypeScript 2.0, npm is the thing.
So to clarify though, like I'll ask this as a question. Does typings care where the definition files live?
Typings doesn't care where they live as long as they're referenced in the global.d.ts file, right? So
No, so what I meant, so whereas TSD was going to just go look at definitely typed, how does typings differ in that regard?
so typings allows you to search both repositories, both the typings repository and the definitely typed GitHub repository. Or you can specify a repo, right? You can go to a repo and get.
But and it will look in npm too, right?
npm.
Pretty sure, right?
I believe you that. So maybe that's not. I'm not familiar with that, but I knew that you could get a specific hash from a GitHub repo.
So one of the things that I've noticed about typings, not to go into too much, well, this is still on topic, I guess, is that even though it doesn't have like a strong opinion where you go get your typings, your definition files from, by virtue of the fact that there's like 98% of them live on definitely typed, you still would end up like pointing typings at definitely typed to go find what you were looking for, right?
And what used to be called ambient is now called global. So
Right.
That's a recent change with typings.
Yeah. Because typings just went 1.0.
Yeah. So as of today, we're still using typings, the typings command line tool, to install type definitions. And to install definitely typed, you would use the typings command line tool with DT tilde whatever your thing is. Is that right? Or do you do -- global or something?
You still do -- global.
Okay. -- global, even if you do the DT tilde thing.
The DT tilde is just that's a shortcut to saying this is where I want you to go get this definition file from. And there's a couple other formats of that. Someone else, if you know better than what I'm saying, please intervene. But it's like a shortcut to hint and say
This is the repo in which
I know where this thing lives. This is where I want you to go. Right.
Right. So and something that's been long lost with definitely typed and why typings came about was that you cannot version control something that's detached from the core resource file. So the JavaScript file or library that you're using, say jQuery 1.9, whatever it is you're using, you can't go to Definitely Typed and download jQuery 1.9's Definitely Typed file. You have to go back in history to find the hash and then install it via the hash. There's no real easy way to do that. So definitely, or typings came about to fix that problem. I'm not familiar enough with the new types or apt types npm installation scoping method to know how you get the right version, but I imagine it's very, very similar to the way we install packages today through npm.
Well, and since I've had time to think about this from this afternoon and get over the shock that we have yet another way to do this, if it's officially supported, then maybe we can finally put this to bed once and for all, you know?
Right. We all will be responsible and publish our types to npm.
Well, I mean, it makes
it's a good
sense.
repository.
It makes sense that the typings would belong with the library or framework that you're using, right? And maybe we're getting to the point where people who are responsible for those said, frameworks and libraries are understanding that, hey, let's provide this, and not just ignore it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't expect that underscore or Lodash or, I mean, are they going to publish a type definition for all their whole?
They're open source, right? You
But
can submit a PR.
They're going to take pull requests, but how can we feel? How do we feel confident that they're going to be maintained, right? How can we feel confident that they're going to be up to date? That's where having these separate.
Well, unfortunately, I got news for you. On Definitely Typed,
they're not.
Lodash wasn't being maintained anyway.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
So, as part of the TypeScript community, please contribute.
So does this mean that, I'm trying to follow along as you're talking about this. I haven't tried to put a type definition file in the typing's registry. It talks about creating a new project for.
Yeah, so you need to create a project on your repo, and then you submit a pull request to them, to the typings project, and they'll then add it to their repository or their their directory.
And one thing that's bugged me about this whole space is when I come across a package that doesn't have a declaration file, I want that to just go in the package. So for example, I use TV4 and I tried to get them to do this and they said, well, we don't want the extra headache.
That's code for them to maintain, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and that's my argument too, is separating the two allows the community that cares about the thing to not have to feed back into the main project, but they can maintain it separately. It does allow them to deviate, or they can do whatever they want on the core library, and you are then responsible for a separate thing.
Does anyone know anything different about, and Mike online here, maybe you know something more about this, but the new approach that we're just learning about, maybe it's not black and white either, right? Like maybe it would seem reasonable to think that there's still a mechanism for having a different, source, if you will, for a definition file, independent of whatever the actual source code is, right? I mean, they're going to have to, right? I mean, because there's going to inevitably be someone who's just going to be like, no, I'm not going to add that.
Sure.
I'm not going to maintain it. I'm not going to add it. I'm not going to. It's just noise to me.
Right.
So there must be some mechanism of redirection to say, oh, if you're looking for this, this is where you go get it. Right?
Please find an example on GitHub.
What's that?
Or npm for one of these declaration files.
Yeah. I don't think it's not open on my.
In which typings or?
Yeah, just an example of a type declaration project. I thought it said on the website it starts with type underscore. Sorry, type underscore. So in my head.
Is it in a different repo? This
So yeah, go out.
registry.
Go back to the list of their repos. So these grunt typings. There's.
Are you sure that's not just?
Okay, we're gonna go there.
Well, and some of these, like if you look at NPM here, some of these are just like pointers, right? Yeah. So this is just saying, oh.
Yeah,
Right.
type typings was what I was looking at. Type typings is the repo, or is the organization that holds the actual type definition.
Oh, so it's not typings. You're saying it's typing.
Yeah, yeah. There's an organization called Type Typings that holds that.
Oh, interesting. So there's a repo for each.
Yes. So this is what alleviates you. You all have, if you've used definitely typed, you probably ran into the point where you try to install definitely typed repo or package too often, too frequently, where GitHub then throttles you and says, no, you can't do that. And you have to wait, I don't know how long, or give a private key that would allow you access to GitHub's API. This alleviates that problem, where now you have multiple repos that you can get your.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Okay.
So click on
That was not very big.
and see, some of these are built for the old version of typings. Like this one says browser.d.ts. Really, that would be called global.d.ts.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so it's worth mentioning that next month's presentation is actually going to be about creating definition files, and obviously we have some things to learn about how typings itself works, but also like well, we can maybe there'll be more information about what's coming next in the next 30 days, right?
Yep.
So if you care about TypeScript, and you should, you care about this, be sure to join us next month, because there's a lot to know here.
Yeah, so a quick look, it looks like there's fewer than 150 of these things.
Yep. It's slow going.
Slow going, but back when they switched over, there was like 5. So it is growing.
So is it definitely type community switching over to contribute here?
Yeah, in fact,
I think if you try to do add a new language to definitely typed, it would get rejected. But if you try to maintain one that's currently there, it'd be accepted. Like if you did a pull request against the one that's already there, to add something that was missing, say a definition that was missing to a library.
Yeah, I've got a backlog of about 6.
But if you try to add a new language, it'd probably get rejected.
What do you mean by language?
Sorry, a new library. A new library. Yeah.
well, and now correct me if this is wrong, but the team that was doing TSD is the same team. that's
Yeah,
doing
Blake is the one that's running typings. He's the one that's maintaining definitely typing today.
So that was one of the confusing things when they changed it. It had the impression, because it was a different organization, like this was someone new swooping in saying, I'm the new command line tool you should use. It was them rebranding themselves, basically.
Yes.
So it wasn't as nefarious as it might have felt,
Right.
when it happened, I think almost.
But there was a changing, right? I mean, they did change ownership from Boris to Blake and whoever else is maintaining with them.
Yep. Okay. How often do you guys run into situations where you're using a library or framework and there's no definition file? Pretty regularly, right?
It's happened a dozen times.
Yeah.
I wanted writing.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're large.
Declare var any on that thing?
I mean, if I have a complex library.
Any is the answer.
No, just don't use it.
That's the answer if you don't want benefit of typing. Right?
Yeah, true. Yeah. I mean, well, you add the overhead too. Now you have a type definition to maintain.
Do you have Slack open, Kim? You don't have Slack open. Can I open Slack?
It's, yeah.
Oh.
Or should I?
Wait, let me go delete something.
Oh, remind me later.
Well, that was exciting.
I got too many things.
Try that
Each
again.
So I noticed that you can't really read the screen at all.
Okay. All right.
I could tell what site you're on.
Okay.
Just because you do it. It looks like a little cat now. Sorry, I have too many Slacks open.
All right, we'll leave that up for a minute. There's people posting comments there, so I thought we would bring that up, but oh, there it goes. All right. Anything else about definition files, typings? Does anyone else know anything about the NPM based? So, is there a way to zoom in on this?
Just Command plus.
Oh, it's Command plus, make it bigger. Oh, okay. All right. So Nathan says, all the time. So, yes, and he says, declare var hero any. Does everyone understand and know what this does?
It just gets rid of all typing.
Right. I mean, it's basically you're telling the compiler, hey, I've got this global thing, and I just want you to trust me that at runtime, it's going to something that has that name is going to be there.
That will get blown away at runtime. It'll be gone.
Yep. So.
Thanks, Nathan.
Yeah.
He could be our code monkey.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I spend a little bit of time, not a lot of time, looking around and trying to find more about this new NPM based thing. It doesn't even look like it's on the roadmap right now.
Yeah,
So
I couldn't find any documentation that mentioned it. It was just in a Slack chat that I stumbled upon it.
yeah, so whatever they're doing, I think maybe they're not ready to talk about it yet because it may be premature, possibly, to talk about it. So
they need a robust solution for the versioning mismatch that happens, right? It's tough.
yeah.
Naming things and versioning is hard.
Well, you can see how like if they move to using NPM, the motivation behind that because a package manager was created to solve those problems, right? Like why recreate the wheel, when we already have a wheel that we know and use and works fine.
I just wonder why they didn't choose Bower over NPM.
I heard those Bower guys are dicks. Sorry, I don't actually know that for a fact.
I believe you.
I was just kidding, by the way. If you work for Bower, I'm sure you guys are cool. What else? Questions? Yes.
Can I get the types via the NuGet package manager?
Yes.
Why would you want to? No.
Yes, you can. And whatever version you get, good luck. I mean, you're just going to get the latest. It really depends on what your package you need and if you want a specific one.
So wait, you're saying that people are taking the time to publish NuGet packages that include d.ts?
Essentially what they're doing is already publishing a version that's indefinitely typed.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's just they took the code,
Alright.
they grabbed it, they put it onto NuGet.
Yep.
So I've never done any of that command line, whatever you guys keep talking about.
I haven't run into any issues with NuGet typings. I'm actually working on a pretty large project right now that I'm using NuGet typings and just recently grabbed them with newer packages and things seem to be working until they don't.
I could never get the React one to work.
Which one?
The React one, you're just doing it wrong.
Well, so the other thing that could be happening, this is wild guess here, but when you're talking about things like React, there's a pretty good chance that you might have a version mismatch, right, between the definition and what you're actually running as your runtime.
I'm talking about established packages like jQuery, Knockout, the older packages, right? Not the newer, prettier, shinier stuff.
Hey, Ken, why don't you, let's see here. Oh, that helped a little bit. Not very much, though.
From my perspective, it's just too bad that we have to spend so much time thinking about stuff like this. Getting our typings, matching our versions. It should have been fixed a long time ago. I would have thought they would have.
Yeah. That's an advantage of having them combined with the maintainer, right?
Right.
Yeah, the downside of Microsoft releasing a product, or I would say it's a product, right? TypeScript as a product, they're not in control of the definition files, and they don't want to be, right? They want the community to be responsible for that. Now, what we're seeing in the NPM, hopefully in the future with NPM typings, is that Microsoft will be, I guess, holding our hands and helping us through the process to get these better typings.
Yeah.
But as of today, there's a lot of churn, there's a lot of old stuff that's just kind of sitting out there. There's projects that have typings included in them that were submitted by community members for those projects that aren't being maintained. For instance, I had an Angular project using Angular Bootstrap. That type definition file that's in that project is garbage, whereas the definitely typed version is perfect, right? That's the one that matches Reboot. With that project, the Angular Bootstrap project has a lot of churn going on in it, so I can understand why they're definitely typed out of sync. But yeah, Microsoft is not responsible for the type definition files, and the community needs to take that on, and that's what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
But Microsoft is trying to make an effort to do better.
Yeah. Aaron.
Is there a way of turning just JavaScript file into a type definition file? Just convert it over.
Well,
You would need to read it as a TypeScript file, right? And then add the type definitions to it for TypeScript to know how to interpret.
right. Yeah, so the ability of a tool or a compiler to be able to infer the types from a language that doesn't make that, certainly, I mean, that's one of the reasons why TypeScript exists in the first place, is to add that static analysis, right? Now at runtime, the runtime knows that this thing is currently a number. Now it may be a string later on, but right now it knows it holds a reference to a number, right? But TypeScript goes beyond that and says at design time we're going to give you that information, right? But to be able to glean, like you can't go from a runtime environment to a static analysis.
So I know some linters kind of do it.
So like if you think about like Facebook Flow, for instance, for anyone who knows, Facebook Flow is a tool that while you can be explicit by adding your own typings, it bends over backwards to try to infer as much as possible about the typings for any given bit of your code, right? I haven't used Facebook Flow, to be clear, but I've seen some demos, and it's pretty impressive. Like, it goes a few steps beyond what the TypeScript compiler, like, because TypeScript can infer return types, right? It does that pretty handily. But there's other things like it's not going to look at who's calling your function and say, oh, we looked at all the callers and we noticed that everyone's passing through a string, so we know that parameter is a string. Flow does that, right? So their whole point of Flow was to make it as close as possible to just out of the box, you got that static analysis without having to really try, right? Or to change your code. It breaks, to be clear, it breaks down. Like, it's not going to cover all cases, but it is pretty impressive how far they're able to take that. Right. Has anyone else used Flow? No? All right. That's what I know about Flow.
You know more than
And people who have like whole hog bought into doing React development, at some point you're probably going to look at Flow as part of your tool chain, would be my guess. If not, you may want to check it out because it's kind of part of that suite of tools, right? That's what you sent me earlier, right? Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
So this is, and for those of you who are online, in the future when we're doing presentations, we'll absolutely have it worked out so that we're not trying to use the camera to look at the screen. You'll actually be seeing the presenter's screen. Tonight is a little bit of a different exception because we're trying to run the meeting, so sorry. It'll get better, I promise. So this is, so Ken, what is this?
So this is a bot that's going out to definitely type and scraping all of the type definitions and putting them into NPM forms. So that's essentially what it is.
Okay. And so presumably the idea behind this is that they're going to automatically generate some part of the registry, right? This is some element of the discovery bit.
Right. And it looks like this is reading from the repository in which it's referencing. I'm not exactly sure how they get the version number, but unless they're manually going through and inputting that version number in there.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. And maybe one of the mechanisms, this is just me speculating to be clear, maybe if they don't intend on hosting, maybe they can, hosting the definition files, maybe they can at least say, this is where it lives. You know?
Maybe.
I don't know.
So it looks like it's imported into there. So I'm looking at one of the ones I wrote, and it's been pulled in by Wakame, who does definitely typed curation.
What's the name of that one, Peter?
That one's IMAP.
IMAP?
Yeah, so I just clicked on one of the other ones and changed the URL.
That's alphabetical. There's a loader at the bottom.
Yeah, I just clicked on any one of them and then just changed the URL. But it was brought over, I don't know if you're using definitely type, but there's like these 5 guys who do most of the checking, and then they will approve the pull request.
That's so interesting. It looks like you could potentially start using this today.
Yeah, if you have, if you're reading from your node modules folder.
Right.
I have to restructure my project one more time.
Yeah.
That's the last time.
It's never.
Oh, and interesting. So they are doing exported, like you were saying, they're reaching into definitely typed and doing some sort of export here. Huh. Okay. All right. Awesome.
Yeah, hopefully it's stabilizing.
Yeah.
No, I have not.
Is that Bazarat's name?
That's Bazarat's thing, and it's a web editor, if I remember right.
An IDE just for TypeScript. What?
Yeah. He's taking what he learned with Atom TypeScript and applying it here.
Whoa. Wild. Why? Well, at least he addresses that head on. A singular purpose of removing all barriers of entry into TypeScript.
Yeah, I installed this thing, tried it, and decided I want Atom over this. But it's brand new.
Yeah.
Oh. So Mike was pointing out that if you install an NPM package named foo, it will pull, or at least attempt to pull its typings from @type/foo automatically.
Who would do that? Typings would. The NPM wouldn't do that.
NPM would do that?
NPM wouldn't know about it.
Yeah.
No, but just like we use typings today to say typings install, presumably there's going to be a TSC or if it's not the compiler, some other tool that's going to be part of the official part of the platform, right?
Typings could do that.
That may reach into your package.json file, right? And see what dependencies you have and attempt to install
the right version of that definition.
It's right there, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Huh. Should we talk about future features?
Do you have those listed in your mind, or you want to pull up the website?
Well, we could just start with general discussion. Mike had already posted something here about Where was it at today? I scrolled right past it. Oh, null and undefined checks coming in V2. Has anyone been looking at the roadmap for 2.0.2.1? They're actually, they must be getting closer to 2.0 because they're starting to talk about 2.1, right?
Yeah, they must be.
What's in 2.0?
All right, I'll bring it up.
Still catching up from 1.4 to 1.8. And being a Node guy, I often feel like the TypeScript team just forgets all about people like me. They seem to be very front-end focused. You know, all the documentation still is about implicit modules. The playground only works with implicit modules. There's very little support for people in the Node world. A lot of things
Yeah,
are.
I mean, you do need to install the node definitions when you work with a node, project. So yeah, you wouldn't be able to get that in the playground.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't handle external modules in the playground.
Yeah.
All right, so non-nullable types, control flow based type analysis. And part of that, I believe, gets you to the point where they're going to be able to say things in the editor like, this is unreachable code.
Can do that today. Can you click on that and see that was, let's look at that.
Are you
They
sure?
do that today. Yeah. So I'm wondering what they're adding to that.
So this is extending type guards basically, right?
Additional expression. So if you return or break, then it would tell you unreachable code.
No, so I was wrong. This is extending the static analysis to look at other types of control flow structures. If I'm understanding what this is saying, to be able to understand, when a variable may be of a certain type.
Right.
So in other words, if you say if this is an instance of and you return, past that point, if it was a union type, it can't. It's not going to be that type anymore. It's going to be one of the others, right? That's my interpretation of what they're talking about.
Okay, because inside an if, they can do that. The if can determine.
In an if else, right?
In an if else, the compiler knows what type it is inside the block. Outside of the block, it doesn't know. So what you're saying is they're trying to fix the outside part when you return something from a function?
They say here specifically that analysis did not take into account return and break statements.
That seems like runtime.
I don't recall ever using a switch statement to do type guards. Does that work today?
I haven't tried it.
I've always used if else, right? So this would imply that you could use a switch statement, right? Because break would be recognized, and so you could use a switch statement, right? All right. Control flow. Oh, wait, that read-only properties and index signatures. Path mappings and module resolution. Private and protected constructors. Abstract properties. Optional properties and classes. The never type.
That's interesting. You will never ever use this type.
This is okay.
Yeah, this is, no, April, I was thinking April Fool's, but no, it's 14 days ago.
Represent the type of values that never occur.
So you can, instead of saying it's a union of these things, you could say it's never going to be one of these other things.
It's the opposite of any.
Yeah. Right, so instead of having to make a union of a bunch of things, you could just say this is never going to be a Boolean.
But it could be a string or
an object.
Oh. Interesting. That, well, it's kind of nice that you don't have to have this long string of possibilities and union types.
It kind of makes what it is fuzzy. And it could change over time.
Yeah, you're right.
It's kind of like might be,
Yeah.
or might
It's
not
almost
be.
like being on site. Is there an example?
So a function can so yeah, this is interesting. A function can return never by throwing an error.
So that's not the same.
But
as
always throwing an error. There can be no code path that returns value.
Right. I can see how that'd be useful, because if you were using something, right, which we often do, that we don't, if we know that the thing we're calling is not going to return a value, then the compiler could say, you shouldn't be trying to capture a value from this function, right?
I like that infinite loop. I'm going to do that one.
Function move one. Should never get here. Okay. I'm not sure what that's. Huh. I don't understand what they're getting at here.
So you have two options up or down. Yeah, it'll return either one or -1.
What does never have anything to do with that?
Because the
Well,
two,
I think
the two options are direct.
It can return a number, and it should never return a string. Because the bottom part is not just something you shouldn't get, but it's returning a string instead of a number.
Well, the only two options here are up and down. That's strongly typed to up and down. So when direction hits up, you're going to return 1. Direction hits down, you're going to return -1. You'll never hit here. You're always going to return out of your switch.
So if you hover
It's not
over,
breaking. It's
if you hover
returning.
over this, you would see a union of number and never,
Yeah.
right?
Right. It should never reach a string or fall here.
Right. All right. Okay. Interesting. Where are we? This one was interesting, I think. All right. That works today, but only if you're targeting
Yes.
a runtime that understands that can do generator functions. So they're going to go a step further and support doing async await without generator functions.
Which I think Babel already does. So this is
Oh, does it?
I think this is taking a sample from Babel.
Is anyone using async await today? Huh. You can if you're using Node 4, or does it have to be 4 point something?
I think it's no. Really? I don't think async await is available in the 8 versions that are in.
Oh yeah. I absolutely ran it on 4.2.
Oh, okay.
What I didn't know was if it ran on 4.0. But
Oh, well then it should.
no, I a while back when
So you're on 4.24?
not anymore, but at the time, I literally just copy and pasted their async await example and put that in a file and ran it and it worked fine.
Yeah.
So no one's used async await. Well, there's not a lot of .NET developers here, but for anyone who is a .NET developer, it works just like async await works in .NET.
If you weren't at our talk in October of last year,
Yeah.
Daniel presented a section of his code was about async await.
So yeah, everywhere that you would await, so anywhere that you would pass a callback, you don't have to pass a callback function. You can just await the return of that whenever it happens, and your code reads it just reads
Yeah.
procedurally,
It's
naturally down the page, right?
it's a better way of, I wouldn't say a better way, but it's an alternate way of, like, if you're used to promises, then async await is, it can be considered the same as a promise, right? The code is laid out in a way that things are not going to happen out of order. It's always going to be in order.
Once you get used to what's actually happening in Grok, it's much easier to maintain, I think. And you get used to it, and I think it is cleaner, right?
Yeah.
But
It's fewer lines of code.
yeah, but initially it's a bit of a shock to the system because it looks so foreign. It's like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah. Essentially, all it is a couple of keywords in front of your code. That's it.
Yeah, anytime you use await, your function has to be asynchronous. So you have to, in the function declaration, you have to say this is asynchronous.
Mhm.
That tells the compiler that you're going to await something in your code. And then you can await as many times as you want to. So if you call, if you make 3 AJAX calls, you can await each of those wherever you call them. Yeah, that's cool. I think that'd be neat. Glob support is finally coming. I wonder why that took so long.
Yeah.
Is it because they preferred exclude?
There was some something about Visual Studio and Windows that they couldn't support it.
Yeah.
Maybe they just could support it, just didn't have the time or resources to do it.
Huh.
And now they do.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's something I fought with a lot, having multiple TS config files in a single project.
Where do you see that? Oh, you're talking about
TS
specifically.
config
Yeah.
in, under one tree, having multiple of them is trouble. So
Yeah.
I think the Microsoft tools have problems with it, and again, has problems with it.
Yeah, any time I've used, or the times that TS config works is when it's in the root of your project. Right?
And I never do that.
I just put a sample project online this week, and I had 2 projects in the repo with their own TS config, and ultimately I just opened 2 code windows, rooted to those project folders.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that works fine. And then, so that was my solution to that, to that situation.
So that's the next version that's on the roadmap. But did you say that's no date, right?
No date, but what I noticed today was the fact that they're starting to talk about 2.1.
Yeah.
Which
that means they're cleaning up.
Right. It means that they're moving things out of scope for 2.0 and saying we're not going to do that. We're going to push to 2.1, right?
Yeah.
Oh, check that out. They're going to start including some built-in decorators
That we can deprecate.
Well, I mean, you can make these yourself, or you
Sure.
can get them in libraries, but the fact that they're going to just include it, interesting. Well, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I can hardly keep up.
That's why I'm behind.
I get the number of times that I've actually been giving talks, and I'll do a rehearsal literally earlier in the week, and then I'll give the talk later in the week. And what did work on Monday is now behaving differently because I managed to go, I'll update the Atom TypeScript plugin before my talk, and it moves to a different version, and all of a sudden the behavior is subtly different. Yeah.
Unsubtle.
What's that?
Sometimes not subtly.
Well, right. Yeah, no, and really, I just used it as an opportunity to share, well, things change, right? But yeah, I've actually had that happen to me a couple times. It's fun. Oh, here, switch type cards. So no, apparently you can't do switch type cards today.
Bummer.
Any other comments about new features?
Maybe from 1.4.
You want to go back to 1.4? Did you have a specific comment about?
You know, I wonder what people use and don't use in general.
That's a good topic.
Just a lot to keep up with, and
Yeah.
my demands for actually getting work done are pretty high right now. So
Yeah.
keeping up and getting the new version of language is a burden.
So honestly, the type of stuff that because I haven't been doing a lot of like, I would call big app development myself with TypeScript. The core basic stuff that I use is really basic stuff, right? Like I'm using static types. I don't think I've ever had a real life scenario, maybe one time where I said, oh, I either think of this as a string or an array of strings.
I do all the time.
But, you know, so in some basic like ES6 stuff, you know, like let, const, for of. What else? What do you use, Ken?
Var all over the place.
So I've got, so that's interesting you say that. I've stopped using let when they brought it out. I started using it, and I quickly realized when I copy and paste code into the REPL, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because it only lets you do it once.
Well, it'll let you do it multiple times, just not in the same scope. You can't define.
In the REPL. So I often debug this way. I'll take little snippets. And it just doesn't
Right.
work.
So it becomes a cumbersome thing for you because you'd have to remove all of those to get it to run, and you're just
So
like,
I switched back to var. I use const.
yeah, interesting. String templates are awesome. I use those regularly.
Use those.
Enums. Enums were actually a nice feature that they brought in that are not new to ES6 or anything like that. So if you're not familiar with enums in TypeScript, check them out.
Are they numeric in value?
They could be numeric, or you can output them as strings.
So, I mean, I guess I'll put it out there because decorators have been like a favorite topic of mine this year, but I've done a lot with decorators personally. Mostly just because I'm trying to get the word out, honestly, though, you know. And if you're doing Angular 2, chances are you're using decorators as well. Maybe not writing your own, but at least
They just know it as at component.
right.
Or at
It's
injectable.
this add component or injectable thing, right? Yeah. What about destructuring?
Anybody use it?
In other
We talked
languages.
about that a little bit. I've heard,
Oh,
I actually can't hit on it in my mind, but I've heard a lot about it recently.
Well, it's kind of like, I mean, I equate it to taking things out of a box, and you got a box of things, and you take thing one out, and now that's called thing one in your code. You didn't declare it. You didn't call box dot thing one. You just took it out of the box and called it thing one because that's what it was called in the
But
box.
is it like making the properties of a class into an array? Is that?
Any object. Well, no, so it could be an array. You can take things out of an array or take things out of an object.
Yeah.
It's however you want it. But
If I have an object with a certain set of properties in it, I can.
you need to know the property name that you want to take out of that object.
Okay.
And now that object, that property that you took out would be a variable name or a let. I just call it variable, right? It'd be a variable in your current scope. That's about it.
Well,
You can get deep into that object too. You don't have to just go one level into that object. You can
well,
get
so when
deep.
so to be clear though, when you do import, right?
Yeah, this is
You're using
inherent to all JavaScript today, right?
you're using destructuring here,
Sure.
right?
You've got a module that you're trying to bring in.
Right.
Okay.
From something, right?
And so everything in that module is now available to me that is variables, so to speak.
Right. And then you just comment eliminate this list and say, pluck this out, pluck this out, right?
Right.
You can also, I mean, that's
That's a simple.
you can also just import everything, but then you're getting whatever they're
Yeah,
exposing to you.
That's
right?
specific to imports. That's not destructuring.
Right.
But
I was just trying to contrast
Yeah.
destructuring with
Yeah.
importing,
the most common use case is that,
Right.
right?
that's not the correct syntax though, right? You have to assign that to something, don't you?
No, you got it right. Yeah, you got it right.
So how do you refer to that?
Oh, yeah. So import star as the thing, right? Angular.
Okay. I'm like, there's gotta be something else to that.
Oh, yeah. No, you got it all right. There's no runtime checking here.
I don't think I've ever used it, so that's why I didn't know. But I couldn't remember off the top of my head. So that's destruction. The other example that I've heard commonly from people that's interesting is that if you had a function, so imagine do something, and you return an object literal here, right? And which you do all the time with the revealing module pattern, right? So you would say name, right? Page. Good, right? And so we,
I'm young, guys.
so we can call that, right? So we could say, oops, equals, right?
Right.
Shades of Pearl.
You know,
But to be honest, you had to know.
See, that makes sense to me.
You had to know that these existed, right?
Right.
You couldn't
Or-
just pull out something and.
or that, right? Because we're proactively saying we don't care about age. We don't want to reference the entire object. We're just going to grab a value from it, right?
This made sense because there was an object that you had that I was interested in a very small part of it.
Right.
And then I wanted to go off and work with it. I guess some of the examples I've seen didn't gel for me. I could see doing this. I've done this before.
You're implicitly grabbing a value by a single key.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
calling it a variable by its key, right?
Right.
Yeah, and it's just a shortcut, right? I mean, it's
If you were to destructure an array, would it just be index-based at that point?
yes.
Okay.
And invariably, the next question is, well, what happens if you want the second or third index, commas? You put
You have to pass undefined as the thing, right?
it looks really strange, and people just like, are you kidding me? And you have to go like this, right? Like if it nameless the fourth index, you have to go like that.
That's
How do you reference this?
By types, you mean?
No, what's the variable name?
Name.
Name, yeah. You'll get access to name once this, like after this code will operate.
Oh, I see. That's
Can you
declaring
use
the
it in any
components.
way?
You need
It's
the components.
it would be equivalent to
Gotcha.
getting, calling do something and then saying, or I could just say var obj name, right?
Now, one place that I really like destructuring, and I think it will come in handy, is in declaring class default values for a class definition. Because you don't get that inherently with JavaScript, but outside of it, in TypeScript you can declare default values pretty easily in TypeScript, but in JavaScript and ES6 you can't. So declaring a class with an object that has default values as the parameter allows you to do destructuring right there, right in the parameter list of your class. You can set your default values.
Right.
There's a comment online regarding destruction.
Yep. Oh, in Slack?
Thanks.
Destructuring is awesome when using q.all or sign q.all.
We don't use promises, Mike. Sorry, we have good programmers. Sorry.
So I'm envisioning that example.
You want me to type it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have like a collection or an array of promises, and you say q.all.
So if you have.
Oh, because it's going to return an array of values from those promises.
Yeah. So
Okay.
q.all is my request
1, my request 2.
Where those are promises, right?
Right.
My request 1 is promise 1, or the first promise. And
Let's see if I can clean up this code. All right, so we've got R here,
and R would be an array of values.
and R is an array of values. So I could say,
Well, you could just do it up here, right?
all right, fine. Wait, is that right? Yeah.
R1, R2, right?
Oh no.
Oh, no, it'd be an array,
It's an array.
syntax.
It's an array syntax, yeah.
Right?
So down here I'd have R1 or R2.
Right. Yeah, okay. I'm buying into that.
It's very pro.
That didn't need to be. It could have been that. It could have been anything, to be honest. It could have been undefined. But to be typed, it would need to have to be an array, right?
All right. That's cool.
But, I want to show the other, yeah, well, along the lines of that, right? So, we call your classes with capital letters. So in here, we could, in just regular ES6, we could say this dot my var equals blah, right? So that would be one way of defining default values for a variable. And if we had more, and this string would be really long, and then we'd have more code down here, but we could do it in a way that would allow us to just one-off it.
Right, you can put the default there. Yeah. I see. Cool.
Actually, this would be, is that right? No, I don't think I can declare that yet.
Can you do
Because it's a
private?
property on an anonymous hash.
Yeah, you could add public. You could say public there, right? In front of my var.
Inside this definition.
Yep.
I don't know if public would get it there. I think private might get it there.
Well, yeah, I
Well-
know private will. I don't know.
Well, if it
I
was
don't know why
a
it would.
parameter, you can add public.
Yeah, why would?
Yeah. Well, we're not using. Let's see.
697
Let's see
anyway.
if the
Well, that's cheating.
that's the compiler will help. us.
Fine. Go ahead and use TypeScript as it was intended to be.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, some of this stuff seems to just get so complicated. I already run into problems sometimes with TypeScript that just get my head spinning.
But
It takes me
to be
long
honest,
solve them.
JavaScript doesn't have public or private. ES6 doesn't have that.
Oh, you were trying to show the ES6.
I'm trying to show the ES6 way.
Well,
So
you would have to do the assignment inside of the constructor.
you still didn't do this. There's my var equals my var.
Are you sure you can't say this? Did you try adding this up there?
You know what? I didn't. I don't think you can.
I don't know, that looks a little strange.
Compile
That's, even if that compiles, that's weird usage. I would not do that.
No.
You wouldn't want to use the this keyword in the parameter list of your constructor.
Well, to be clear, adding public is creating an instance.
Yeah.
It's doing that same thing, right?
Still weird.
Yeah, but this exists when your constructor is called. It's being created before your constructor.
There's plenty of code which is syntactically valid, which should not be written.
No, but do you disagree with the statement that this exists, that object exists by the time you your constructor's being executed.
Yes.
Well, yeah, otherwise we don't have anything to hang.
Right, exactly.
Sure. Not the cleanest of examples.
Wait, I'm confused.
I didn't write that code.
Popping back the stack for a minute back onto 2.0, TypeScript 2.0. Anders said last month that it would be coming in a few months. Their team is releasing about 4 versions a year, which gives you roughly a per 3-month cycle.
Gotcha.
And Microsoft fiscal year breaks in the middle of the calendar year. So I think it's reasonable to infer that June is the target month for the next release.
Okay.
Just based on what's publicly available.
And they usually release a beta, right, before they do a general.
Yes. But well, can I say that? I don't know. I know they did with 1.5, but how frequently has it been a beta?
Right.
That was their biggest release since 2.
Okay. All right, that was good. Oh, we were reviewing, coming back here, so we were talking about what we used in terms of like features, right? In older versions.
Spread operator, I use that.
Regularly?
I wouldn't say regularly, but I use it enough.
Yeah.
As long as everything has the same type, the spread operator works really well. Granted, if you're not using TypeScript, you could get yourself in trouble.
I always get spread confused with rest. So spread is
where you have an array and you want to take its contents and put them into something else. You can just put them into another array instead of concatenating arrays together. You can spread multiple arrays into one array.
Is it like splice?
Well, splice would give you a section, a chunk of the array.
Oh, okay. So you have an array, and you can pass it as an argument into a function.
You want to
With the
unpack it.
Right.
Okay.
Spread it out.
Yeah.
Say.
Okay.
Okay. What's confusing is that the reason why I say I get that confused. It's the same syntax for the REST operator.
Yeah.
But they're different. They're different things, right? The REST says take all the remaining arguments that are being passed to me and put it into this array.
Right.
Two different contexts, similar ideas.
Right. So.
Nice.
Yeah, if you see them.
So I stick with the older version.
Well,
You see them.
so to be clear though, that's not a TypeScript thing, right?
No, it's not.
So that's them, and this is a good point to underline, right? That's them following the spec. To be fair, so.
Yeah, when I finish my project, I'm gonna have to go back and update the language, so it's.
I've done that so many times. Like,
That'll last you 2 weeks.
you install the newer version of the language service, and you're like, why are these red squiggly lines underneath my code?
I know, I'm gonna be forced soon.
So we're not looking at, we're 1.6. I've used generators indirectly. Local types, no. Have you ever used class expressions yet?
Class expression.
Yeah.
Oh, where you
Var something
Instead of
equals
class, where it's an anonymous class.
Right.
I haven't.
I haven't either.
I don't know what the difference would be. Like,
You know, there's one of the reasons for lagging a little bit is it often takes the tool some time to catch up to the newer features.
yeah.
I've been by that a few times.
Abstract classes and methods. I've never really built any like class hierarchies.
So I've used this.
Not in JavaScript. I mean.
I've used this where I've had some Angular classes where I had like a base class and then a controller on top of that, right? Where I'm not going to call new on my base class ever.
Right.
So I'll declare abstract.
Sure, that makes sense.
But what's to stop me from calling new
Somewhere else.
somewhere else outside of TypeScript, right? I mean, it's definitely a TypeScript only thing.
Right, right. Huh.
And you'll know that you're not going to call something called base controller. You're not going to call new on that.
Right.
You should.
Yep.
So here's what we were talking about earlier. Basically,
Yeah.
wait on node 4. And for anyone who's curious, they have an example. I will scroll past it. Come on. If we jumped over to the features, they have an example of it. 1.8. Wow.
Sorry, did you say those are JavaScript features? Wait.
Async await is a proposal that's out there. Like I haven't checked lately to see if it's being considered. Like I think it was at some level of consideration for ES7, but I don't know. Like it's early days, really early days. So
I'm going to find out. Oh yeah, if you're interested, and Peter, you might be interested in this, node.green, that will tell you all the ES6 features that are in the latest version of Node.
Yeah, so I totally am on board with learning whatever's coming up in JS6, for example, or whatever I lost in JS5. Memorize this.
Yeah. Async iteration.
so it looks. Do you think that's
browsers? You're looking at browsers. It's
no, they have complied. Tracer and Babel.
Oh, they are. Yeah.
V8.
What's that?
Node is keeping up with V8.
Yeah. Node.
Yeah, I think they have to.
So there's a lot of stuff that came out with.
Async functions.
Okay, AOC for all.
Although you can use the Chakra core on Node. I haven't done it myself, but you could use a different JavaScript engine.
So, okay, so it is further along than I suspected. It's candidate stage 3.
Stage 4 is where they consider it, or it becomes part of the release, which it has to reach stage 4 before June something
Of this year?
to get into this ES6 group, or ES7 release.
So it's not impossible, but maybe unlikely.
Yeah,
I have no idea how.
highly improbable.
I have no idea how long it takes to move from here. That's only 2 lines, Ken.
I know, and they consider. I think there's 2 of 3. They consider it to be part of stage 4 once it's got adoption. So it could have adoption in 3 or 4 things.
Interesting.
And that might not be enough for it to get into stage 4.
So probably ES8. Well, and if you're using TypeScript, it doesn't matter. You use it today.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the whole point, right? Because it's just, to my knowledge, it's just syntactic sugar on top of generator functions. Anyway. All right, where we're at. Features. Anything else? Anything in 1.8 that stands out to anybody?
I like the string literal types. That was one thing that I.
What are those?
So inside of a.
Oh, like you were saying, up and down in that other example earlier.
Yeah. Those were defined string literals.
So I use those in type, the keyword type, to narrow a string to a set of values. The same thing in arguments.
What's the delimiter? Oh, is it
It's just
pipe?
I see, because it's typing, it's a type.
Yeah, so that restricts val to up and down.
Could you replace that with a enum?
I suppose you
Well-
could, but enums aren't strings.
But enums aren't strings, but you could have your enum values be the representation of what you want it to be. Yeah. I guess you could think of it as maybe a more simplistic, enum.
Yeah, this is, I would say this is more realistic to the JavaScript ecosystem than the enums are, right?
Well, to be clear though, that just evaporates anyway.
No, it does, but you're more likely to pass a string as a parameter
Oh, I see.
than you are a number,
Right.
right? Like, I don't know the number for my enum because that's an enum.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Okay.
That you're probably passing around magic strings though, that you're keying off of.
Yeah, and if you can strongly type those magic strings, this is a good way to protect against it.
Yeah. And that's cool though, I mean, because the compiler will tell you that you're using it incorrectly if you try to do something with it that you shouldn't be able to do. Does that even extend into, so if you were to say temp val equals?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that.
Didn't complain about that, but it would complain about assignment, right? So if I tried to say val equals x.
Now I have a question. Why do you use single quotes and double quotes?
I don't know why I did, to be perfectly honest.
You like holding down the shift key?
I meant to type single quote, and I was too lazy to go back and fix it. So.
Double quotes twice is good.
Maybe watch the tabs versus spaces war on Silicon Valley this weekend.
Oh, I haven't watched the episode yet.
You
They get into it?
Tabs versus spaces, hilarious.
Awesome.
That's all the way.
Oh, man. A funny story. I was a tabs guy for many, many years. I think it was it Dave? I'm trying to remember who here finally.
Yeah. Dave, I think.
No, it was Mott's.
That's
So another consultant that we all worked with, we had that one day, it was like tabs versus spaces, and he presented an argument I could not argue against.
Can you present that argument? What was the argument?
It basically it really boiled down to intent, right? That if you're introducing white space into a document, tab doesn't actually represent your specific, it's dependent upon your configuration, right? Whereas a space truly represents the white space that you're specifically intending for that to be indented. And he took it a step further because he subscribed to that idea. He was very specific about the white space he would introduce throughout all of his code, right? So it was literally impossible for him to switch to using tabs because it would ruin all of his white space. Because he would do things like if he had a bunch of, and this part I never got fully on board with, to be clear, but he would do things like this. We've all seen this, so he's not unique in this regard. He would line up. he would do that, right?
You can do that with tabs.
There's a quick key to do that in Visual Studio.
Would he put his commas on the beginning of the next line? Like,
I don't think so, but I don't remember that for a fact.
or always have a comma at the end of an object, like the last property of an object, you comma it.
I've done both of those.
So I tried to get myself to do this, just to experiment, and I lasted all about like 5 minutes, and I was like, forget this. And Brian is right. There is an extension you can install in Visual Studio. You can select it and say align, like in the columns, and it just goes formats it for you. So interesting. Anyway, that's funny.
There's some really good reasons for that. For all that stuff.
Readability, right? I mean.
No, actually. Well, yes, but
no, it doesn't make it more readable, but we.
Yes, it does. But for me, when we got the prefix, a bunch of strings or whatever,
right?
With the same prefix, and you do column editing, it's all right there. Especially in SQL statements or something like that. It's a lot quicker.
SQL statements are
That's where it goes.
You lost me when you said prefix, though. I was like.
When you're working on legacy code.
All right, all
and
right.
you put ID at the end, whatever.
No, that's a fair point.
When you're working on legacy code. That's a problem.
You create 2 files.
Like, I change my style every year, and I have to change the prefix every year because there's some new hit thing, right? So I gotta stay up with the time.
Look how long this list is.
I know, it's,
Well, and that's
Well, it's easy when
1.8,
it's-
right? You're still on 1.8. That's the latest release.
I need to open a bottle of scotch just to study this stuff.
So 1.8 is released, right?
yep,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
yep. So Mike pointed out, Mike pointed out that was spread.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just with spread, it's spread and destructuring, right? The combination thereof. Wait,
No, he's, yeah,
That sure looks like destruction to me right there, but.
well, I guess I could,
it is. It's destructuring. And he is taking a variable that existed and putting it into B, and the variable that existed and put it into A. These are 2 new definitions of those variables.
well.
How can that be?
Two
Yeah, I've seen that example as well online that they say, oh, this allows you to do, concise value swapping. Okay.
That's nice, yeah.
Does anyone here do work with React? One half raised hand.
Use it,
Half raised.
but
because-
learning, I've never used it in something like used.
Okay, all right.
Because NuGet packages suck, right?
Let's just say I just search the interbubs to find something that'll work.
Oh, so this is interesting, though I haven't had a chance to actually take advantage of this, but you can now extract your type information from your JS doc comments.
So would this mean from code that's not typed?
So if you had a JavaScript file that had JS doc comments on functions that go as far as to say what the types of the parameters are, TypeScript now can use that information to strongly type your parameters. You don't have to repeat yourself, in other words. Is anyone taking advantage of that? Does anyone here use JS doc? The same guy.
Really?
Let it be known on record.
The worst JavaScript programmer here uses JSDocs.
Oh, wait a second. I think we're all equally the worst programmers.
No, I hate JavaScript.
Okay,
Yes.
so here's an example of JS doc comments, right? Where it says param string. So it can take that typed in information.
So I can really just copy code from Stack Overflow, is that what you're saying? And I could define it up there, but still have it copied from Stack Overflow? Is that what you're saying?
I don't understand what you're saying.
I copy code from Stack Overflow. What I'm trying to say is that if I had a definition that was like that, somebody did give me a block of code that wasn't a TypeScript programmer, and it was defined with JSDoc like that,
Yeah.
the TypeScript would be able to understand that?
Yes. Have you guys seen this?
That seems like a much better use case than the idea that
Oh,
a
that's-
programmer should actually use.
Whoa, that's not the one I was looking for. No, stop it, that's not the one I'm looking for.
Right.
What are you clicking on?
You have to clear my history?
Yeah. The prawn tab got opened by mistake.
No, there's a whole, does anyone see what I'm talking about?
No.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, come on.
We're all used to the internet. Don't worry about it.
All right, I'm not finding the link that I was looking for, which is too bad because they're hilarious.
What are you looking for?
So there's one, people have made all these covers of fake or not fake O'Reilly books, you know, where they have the animals. And one of them is like, one of them says like it's like the expert's guide to copying and pasting from Stack Overflow, you know, and they've like put like a sloth, you know, on the cover, you know.
Oh, really?
Right.
Right.
Missing your vowels.
No, it's, they got.
Oh, I see.
Really?
You know, we're on Bing, not Google, so then that's probably our problem.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm trying to collect points, guys.
oh wow. No wonder it wasn't finding it. So now just try my original search.
I think you just lost all your points.
There, it's the second one down.
This one?
This one.
Yeah.
There. It's essential. No, you just have to scroll down.
Oh, sorry, guys, everybody.
Back. Okay, scroll down. Oh, you see, notice that was a pocket reference?
Yeah.
The internet will make those bad words go away.
Oh, no. Useless whiteboard interviews.
Just putting the candidate through the same bullshit you went through.
Useless whiteboard interviews.
Does it run? Just leave it alone.
These are very workarounds. Yeah, these aren't funny.
Oh, this is reality. Okay.
Tried some of those words.
Software can be chaotic.
Your friend.
A code written by some stranger on the internet is always perfect.
Fragile.
Oh, jeez, those are awesome.
Yeah. All right. Okay. 10 till. Should we end on that? A little.
I was kind of looking forward to a few lightning talks.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
What do we have?
Oh, so my giveaways are a, let me see, what is it?
Ken Howard business cards.
Free pass. It doesn't say how many days. I think it's it's 1 month free pass Pluralsight, because they're our sponsor, and they give these to me, so I gotta give them to you. Anybody not have a Pluralsight right now? Raise your hand. All right, you get one. You get one. I'll get you one. I'll get you one. Hang on, I'll be back with another one.
Did I see 3? But wait, there's more.
Yes.
Hey, so while he's doing that, I do have a shameless announcement.
Yep.
So we are looking for a node engineer for a contract role for a really cool agency here in town. Almost as cool as CSG.
All right.
So,
Cool.
I don't know if anybody's interested,
Okay.
or if you know somebody that's interested.
I was talking to the guy, and somebody from your agency or about that.
Oh, okay.
They
Cool.
put me on LinkedIn months ago, a couple days ago, we started chatting, and I haven't heard anything back from him, but yeah, there's not a lot of information from just like Google's site.
Yeah, and
So you find out more about it.
And I wasn't given a lot of information either by the owner. I literally had to create a job description myself.
Yeah.
Did you create a salary?
Actually, they are looking for, they're open to a wide array of levels, so junior, senior.
Yeah.
If anyone.
On site or remote?
It could be, yeah, they're on the kind of the borderline between Beaverton and Hillsborough. Not completely remote. They would love to have somebody at least be available maybe a couple days a week to come on site, but very, 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 very flexible hours. Very flexible.
Are they a private company?
Yes, private company.
This Jason Baker.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're typing under me.
We do provide benefits to our contractors if that matters to you or to anybody that you might know. We have good health and actually retirement, so. Anyway, thanks, James.
Yeah, no problem. What's really funny is that every time I type a message, my phone keeps beeping that you're sending a message. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everyone, and don't forget next month a real presentation.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Peter and myself. Should be great.
You guys want to talk, let us know.
Yeah. Awesome.
We do have snacks and sodas probably up here, so. Do you think want to go out? Oh, it just depends on how I'm feeling at the end of the night. I might change them or I might not.